Yo, what the fuck? Better stay in line, mate, I swear to God. Huh? Yeah, I bet.
I'm the one to avenge them. Me! I'm going to defeat you!
Hey, howdy, welcome everybody. My name is Zarkator. Why did I say howdy? Well, it's because we got ourselves a rootin' tootin' little fucking Nova Prime build. Alright, okay. So, Nova, as some of you may know, is going to be unvaulted, I think, unless she was already unvaulted with the Prime Resurgence. Either way, go get yourself a Nova. Her set is probably going to be very cheap for the next couple of weeks because of the Prime Resurgence. So, Nova, it was like a fan-made Warframe, right? Back in the day. And she was really good when she came out, and as it has turned out, she's still really good. But in the last couple of weeks, as you can see, she's now my second most formed Warframe. 6th form I put into this Nova. And the reason being, because Nova has at least three different builds that you would want to make. Up here we have Supernova, and it says N, and we have Phasfa, and it says F. Oh, wow, there's some lag, but it's fine. We have Phasfa, and we have Gluma, which is S. Okay, and what do these stand for? So N stands for neutral, and all that means is I have 70% strength, and that will make molecular primes slow percentage exactly 0. So when I cast Molecular Prime, enemies will not be slowed or fastened. F obviously means fastness, so as little strength as possible to speed enemies up by 60% when I cast Molecular Prime. And then, you know, as you could guess, with some plus strength, it will slow enemies down 75%, which is the cap. So Nova has 3 very important builds. It's very important that you have at least one of these 3 builds kind of finished. It took me 6 former to get all of these working, and as you can see, I even have like fucking narrow-minded in the wrong slot and everything like that. Actually, you know what? It might be cheaper to do this. Yeah, just save 5 points. Well, there you go. Either way. So what we're going to be doing today is going over all 3 of these builds, and they're all very good. So yes, they are expensive. I do have Prime Sure-Footed on all of them. Feel free, if you don't want to spend 6 forma on Nova for some reason, you can omit the Prime Sure-Footed or put in any other Exilus slot. Exilus mod would be okay, depending on if you want like neutral, fast, or slow. What we're going to do is we're just going to go through these in order. So first of all, we have Supernova, neutral. To get a neutral molecular prime, you're going to need 70% power strength exactly. And the main way to do that is through Power Donation, which is an aura mod that gives you exactly minus 30% ability strength and no other strength affecting mods in the whole build. So this isn't, when you equip this, it's not going to show up in your orbiter. That's why I'm in the simulacrum right now, because aura mods will then affect my stats in mission. So we can see my strength is 70%, molecular prime is 0% slow. I don't know if we pause the enemies just for the sake of showing this. If I prime them, I mean, you got a little bit of a breathing animation or something. Like, in general, I can, like, knock them away. As you can see, yeah, they're not any slower than usual. They're exactly the same speed. What Molecular Prime does, in general, is regardless of power strength, regardless of any kind of stats, it will always just cause enemies to take exactly double damage, or something like that. It's a calculation that is static, no matter what your build is. So Molecular Primes just do more damage, and also when an enemy dies, it will explode with some damage and kind of chain around all the rest of the enemies, kind of like an electric proc or a gas proc or something like that. So anyway, to start off, we have this neutral Nova build, and so Power Donation to get down to 70%. Prime Sure-Footed is a very nice luxury if you can afford to put that in. So we have Umbral Vitality for a little bit of tankiness, coupled with a lot of duration, because here's the thing, Nova's Null Star, the amount of charges, the amount of antimatter particles is 18. That scales with duration and not strength. And a lot of things with Nova do that, which is kind of weird. but 18 is kind of, it's not the maximum you can get, but it's like the optimal number to have, because if you have 18 particles exactly, each one gives you 5% damage reduction, and that can stack up to a max of 90%. So 5 times 18 is 90. There you go. So you need exactly 300% duration. I have 301% because I'm cool like that. But yeah, if you go over 300 and you have more than 18 particles, you'll have like some leeway. If you lose some, you'll still be at 90%, but you're not going to go over 90%, right? So I have Vitality. You have 90% DR on 700 health, which is a pretty good little cushion for the Steel Path, and I've subsumed Gloom onto Nova's 2 in order to heal up if my health takes some damage with that 90% damage reduction. And, you know, this isn't like an endurance build. I'm not going to be going to, like, level 3000 and shit like that. In any sane levels of Steel Path missions, this is absolutely super effective, and Nova will not die. Because, I don't know if you guys know, there's a little known fact about Gloom in general, but if I activate it, I have very little range on this build. This is as big as it is. It's just right around my feet here. It's like barely within my melee range, probably outside of my melee range I can hit. But Gloom, you don't actually have to have the enemies in the circle to get the healing, the lifesteal. That's something I learned just for this build. That was kind of the reason I put Gloom on Nova, learning that. So you go minimum range for the sole fact that the antimatter particles, they scale with your range based on how close you want to be to an enemy before they start launching at them. So kind of in the same range as Gloom, you're going to start losing these particles. And you don't want to lose these particles because they do very little damage, and you're just losing your damage reduction every time you lose one. So to compensate for losing them, I have Molecular Fission here, where any enemy affected by Molecular Prime, my 4, when they die, I will restore a null star charge and a 100% chance of a second one, so I'll get 2. So even if a antimatter particle, whatever they are, even if one of these kills the enemy, I'll get 1 back. So there you go, that's how you stay at the 18, that's how you stay at 90% damage reduction. You just make sure you cast your 4 a lot, and as you can see, I went max fucking duration, because as it turns out, the range on Molecular Prime scales better with duration than it does power range. So we dump range and we go max duration, and look at this, the radius is 95.3 meters. That's fucking large, and the duration is 90 seconds on the enemies, so anything that gets hit by Molecular Prime is going to stay Molecular Prime until they're fucking dead. I don't know of any enemy that can last 90 seconds in this game. So yeah, it's very good. One unfortunate thing about this build is that we do have to run Constitution to get the duration above 300%, and Constitution is kind of a useless mod otherwise, especially because I have Prime Sure-Footed, so this knockdown recovery doesn't matter, because I'm immune to knockdowns. But what are you going to do? We have the duration we need, and that's what's going to make this build work. Wormhole is very low range, but it's still useful in you know, in traveling. It's still like it's faster to do this than to like move normally. So even if it's such a small range like that, it's fastness, it's speed, and speed is always good. So let's kill the enemies here, and let's just like show what this does. So what I'm going to do is unpause the enemies. We're going to cast 1, we're going to cast 2, we're going to Molecular Prime, so these enemies take damage, and remember this is 70% strength, so they are neutral speed. And then, like, as long as we're constantly doing damage with, like, a melee weapon, as you can see, Arcane Aegis has proc, so I'm invincible either way for a few seconds. But even after that runs out, as long as we're swinging a melee weapon, or, you know, otherwise doing some damage, we will remain at full health no matter what. Nothing can kill us. Even these Exogok stats, which are some of the highest damaging enemies in the game, especially when they spawn their little turrets. And you can use whatever, like I have a Brahma, which makes this very unfair for them in terms of them staying alive to be able to damage me. But, you know, anything that has like a semi-high fire rate, like don't use like an Opticore or something, that's not really going to work. I'm out of ammo. But something that's constantly attacking, like most melee weapons, and like any gun that can fire more than like once per second, you're gonna stay alive. That's all you need. And any enemy I kill while they are primed, doesn't matter if I lose a couple of antimatter particles, I just kill them and I get 2 per kill. And this is just super strong. The lifesteal and Gloom is infinite range, as it turns out. Any enemy that you damage, you'll get the lifesteal. And the little slow around me is just kind of for, like, I don't know, in case like a melee enemy enters, it's like, I don't even know what the slow percentage is on this build. Let's see. They'll be slowed by 24%. It's not that much. It's only 3% lifesteal, but with how much damage you do with good weapons, 3% of 1,000,000 is more than 700, so you'll always full heal. Next up, we have a speed of a build. I call it FASFA because that's easier for me to say than speedva. Power donation on this also because you want to dump strength super hard, and duration is always good. You want a little bit of range, but it doesn't matter if you go like max range or anything. Speedva is for killing enemies faster because they will move towards you faster, and especially in like defense missions where you want the enemies to just get to where you are, that is optimal. So I prime them, and this isn't like a tank build or anything, so I put Resonator, Octavia's one, on her, and what that does is that it forces enemies not to target me or the defense pod or whatever you don't want to get hit. So because I'm not so tanky, I want to avoid damage altogether, and that's why we just de-aggro the enemies instead of like Gloom, which will help me lifesteal and stay alive. You just want to not take damage in general. And yeah, there you go. That's pretty effective. It's the exact same kind of deal, except you don't have to worry about Null Star. It's still 16 particles, so casting is pretty good, but I do have a lot of range on this build, so when I cast this and I don't have molecular fission to refill it, I'm going to lose these pretty quick. But it's really not, you're not taking damage because of Octavia's Resonator. So either way, it's fine. So that's your speed build, and now we have the slow build. I call this one Glooma because this is the first one I put Gloom on. So this is a Slova build. I keep saying Vild because Slova. But yeah, so this is 75% slow, which is the max for this, and Gloom is also 69%. So in the range of Gloom, enemies are going to be just about as slow, if not slower, depending on... We have Growing Power and Energy Conversion. So whenever you proc a status, you'll get 25% power strength for 6 seconds. And, you know, depending on which weapons you're using, obviously, but usually you're going to be proccing status every time you attack, right? And then we also have Energy Conversion. Whenever you pick up an Energy Orb, you'll get 50% ability strength to your next ability cast. So 50 plus 25 is 75%, plus 199 is 274%. What you're going to do is you're going to proc Growing Power by attacking something and proccing a status effect, which is very easy. And you're going to pick up an Energy Orb, which is going to do 3 things. You'll get 50% ability strength to your next cast, which you want to make Gloom, so that you get a 274% Gloom instead of a 199% Gloom. And I haven't tested the exact percentage, but it feels like it's like 80 and some change, because 90 is the slow cap. And this is a high range build, well, semi-high range, 145. So this is going to be pretty big, about as big as Molecular Prime. So Molecular Prime actually isn't going to be slowing the enemies as much as Gloom. Okay, you just do this for the damage, because Molecular Prime causes a lot of damage and big explosions and everything. And then Gloom is actually for the slow and the lifesteal and everything. And also, conversely, when you pick up an Energy Orb, not only do you get that 50% strength, but we're also going to be proccing Arcane Energize, so we have plenty of energy. So we don't have any flow or prime flow. Instead, we have max efficiency of 175% with Streamline and Fleeting. And then we also have Arcane Eruption, and this is kind of the crux of this build. If you want to run this build, you're going to want a pretty high rank Eruption, at least like rank 3. I have a rank 5 because that's 100%, obviously. What Arcane Eruption does is whenever I pick up an Energy Orb, this is no cooldown. Within 30 meters of your Warframe, every enemy gets knocked the fuck down, okay? And the reason this is so good is because they're slowed so much that when they get knocked down and they go into that long get-up animation, that goes from lasting like 2 seconds on each enemy to like fucking 30 seconds. Like, watch this. We're gonna do this build right now. So first of all, I'm gonna pause the AI just for a second. We're going to kill them. Oops. We're gonna kill some of these enemies, right? And now, as you see, that one has dropped an Energy Orb, okay? So that's very important. What we're going to do is, we don't have full energy right now, because you're never going to have full energy with this build, because you have Gloom on, and any enemy that enters your Gloom, you're going to start losing energy to slow them. So we don't want to be at full energy. We want to be able to pick up these Energy Orbs to proc Arcane Eruption. So what we're going to do is we're going to prime them a little bit. We have Gloom on, so they're slowed. I'm gonna pick up an energy orb, and that knocks them all down. Now that they're this slow, look at this. Look at this. Look at how slow that is. When you proc growing power and also energy conversion, this is, you just disable every enemy in your wake every time you pick up an energy orb. And you're going to be picking up a lot of energy orbs because you're constantly killing enemies that can't fucking move or attack you at all. So that's what this build's all about. Look at how long it's going to take her to get back up and ready to attack me. And even when she is ready to attack me, I mean, how long was that? Like, I've definitely killed her by then. Look, that's as long as she's got. Then I get another energy orb and they all go back down again. So that's this build. It's very good. That's a Slova build. You mainly want to use a Slova build in like a defense, or not a defense mission, you want to use it in like a survival mission, maybe a mobile defense would be fine. Anything where you're not relying on killing enemies so much, right? In a defense mission, you definitely want a Speedba, or a neutral Nova is like okay, but a Speedba is probably more preferable, it's kind of up to you. Neutral Nova is kind of the best for like survival missions in general if you have the Prime Sure-Footed. But in any mission where if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, or you're just, you know, not confident in staying alive in a mission, you would want this build with Gloom. So Nova's actually an incredible tank, an incredible CC, and healing Warframe. You know, goddamn, she's so good. The only thing is that she's so expensive. Like, you would want all of these builds, right? You want to have all of these lined up for different mission types and everything. You want all these arcanes maxed out, energized, and Aegis, and eruption. Pretty expensive, but it's definitely worth it. Nova is fucking invincible in most cases. So anyway, that's the Nova video. Thanks for watching. She's great. Here's a Brahma arrow in your face. What the fuck did I say?